What's going on, YouTube? Legend here once again, this time at your game with some more Honkai Star Rail, and I want to talk to you guys about a story. This is a little different than what I'm used to talking about. You usually hear me talking about certain characters, the meta, yada yada, so on and so forth, right? But I want to talk about what's going on in the story, because I didn't do a reaction to it, kind of regretful for it, but doesn't take away the fact that a lot of things, this mind started going when I started going over the story and started seeing what happened with it, so on and so forth. I have a couple of theories, a couple of things that I want to get answers to, and also things that I am predicting here. Of course, since I don't have the footage of my own, I didn't record it, we're gonna have to use somebody else's footage for this, right? And for this, we're gonna use somebody named Jay Kage's footage right here. Definitely check him out. I like seeing the reactions to things. They're funny, I love them. Good stuff, good stuff. Definitely go check out his video, like and subscribe and everything. We're gonna use some of that footage to go over. And the first thing that I want to talk about, honestly, is Acheron. When we first meet Acheron, that meeting that we had with her was very peculiar to me, right? One instance being is that red dialogue that she uses, right? Upon research, I feel that when it comes to that red dialogue, now I'm not sure, but I do think the red dialogue represents dialogue that she doesn't, situations where she doesn't say the same thing to everybody. When I mean everybody, I mean in my game, she's not going to say the same thing. In your game, she's not going to say the same thing. That dialogue changes depending on previous questions that you've answered or whatever situation. Like, if we look at this statement, this changes because if you are the male MC, Acheron says he stood shoulder to shoulder with me, much like the surreal dreamscape where we stood close, yet forever out of reach. All right, I think that is a statement that changes if depending on which traveler you are, which trailblazer you are. That is what I think, and that's why depending on your answers to the questions, I think that's why everything she says here is red. Within this conversation, I feel that she gives a lot of clues of what's going to happen within this patch and later on. And I also think that it indicates a lot when it comes to her point of view. And that being that she says she forgets a lot, right? Her memory doesn't come into play. Her memory fails her quite a bit, which is probably why she gets lost like Zoro and such. And she seems to be unclear with certain things in the past and such. We also know, based on what Acheron said, that I thought that she was going to be the emanator of nihility, but I believe that Acheron said finality, which I'm not 100% sure what that's going to mean. This could have something to do with the fact that she might know what's going to happen more than what she knows about the past, which could be a thing, right? Which is why I do think that the things that she says definitely hit at future events. Right here, she asks, would we fear losing the bonds that we have? This hints to what just happened, right? We lost Firefly, and well, we didn't have much of a connection with Robin, but we also lost Robin, right? So this fear is coming to fruition. This right here, this statement makes me feel that she was hinting that we're going to be losing somebody, okay? And I feel like a lot of people took it that way too. And I don't think that our answers to these questions really matter too much. I think it just changes how she talks to us. But yeah, this statement right here, this statement concerns me a little bit because it makes me think that there's going to be a point where we don't know what's real and what's fake. We can be in reality and not truly be in reality, where it's a dream-like, right? Like, let's say the situation of us losing Firefly and Robin weren't real. As we know, was within the dreamscape, but are they really dead? We don't know, right? And it scares me a little bit because I don't think that Firefly and Robin are gone for good, right? But at the same time, I don't like fake out deaths. So it makes me feel that these fake out deaths might become a common occurrence within the story, but that's the thing. This does give Persona 5 Royal vibes here too, but I do think that it is alluding to we'll be given an option. I mean, it could be like an alternate ending type of deal, kind of like how we got into the end of this story here, where we can get an option to kind of just live in our fantasy, where Firefly is okay and Robin's okay and nobody else gets hurt and everything's fine, right? Now, I do think that kind of alludes to that. where we're going to have to make a decision to kind of face reality and deal with certain losses that we do attain throughout the story. Here, as you can see, seems to be like we're going to be taking some losses, right? This could just be talking about Firefly, but I feel like that's not the case. I feel like we're going to. I think it's alluding that we're going to be facing more loss throughout the story. Now, if you also look here, I feel that she's alluding to in the story, right? We're going to be searching for ways to try and save Firefly, try and save Robin, try and undo these deaths, right? And I feel it's going to be a situation like Steins Gate, where we're going to be trying to go through these loops. We're going to be trying to go through these different ways to save people. We're going to lose people along the way, so on and so forth. And at the end of the day, it's all going to come down to how things ended in Act 1 or this 2.0 patch, where we can't save Firefly, right? We can't do it. Now, whether Firefly is Sam, whether Firefly is not Sam, whether whatever's going on, I do think it might come down to a point where we can't save Firefly. Firefly will be back within this story, but towards the end of the story, the path is predestined and Firefly is going to die. That would be very interesting. I would like to. That would be an interesting way to go on about it, because right now it just doesn't feel like Firefly's gone. It doesn't feel like Firefly's gone. It doesn't feel like Robin's gone. Most people don't really believe that she is gone, but I do think that we might end up looping back to it, and at the end of the day, that death is going to end up being more impactful the second time around. That's my guess. Now, this question, do you still remember me? That is confusing me a little bit because we haven't met yet, right? And she's thinking of the future. Why would she ask me that? Unless some type of loop happens where we, in the future, like this dream is actually happening in the future or something and we just can't remember anything. I don't know. I don't know what that's supposed to mean, but yeah. But I do think that this conversation that we have with Acheron heavily alludes to what goes on later on. My interpretations are not necessarily have to be the right ones, but I do want there to be discussion. So definitely weigh on this too. What you think? What you think this conversation really means, right? But that's what I want to touch on when it comes to Acheron, and that's why also too I think that also explains why we're crying too, because like I think we at that point we get a glimpse of what's going to happen. Because mind you, when we first go into Dreamscape, we do see flashes of things. And if you slow it down, right? So let's if we slow it down, we do see glimpses. We see this conversation that we're about to have with Acheron right here, right? Then we see Firefly, right? This is right before Firefly dies, right? Right when she's turning around to us. Then we see a chessboard, which is the Hoyoverse's wonderful thing, but I think this is back on the train. Then we see Robin right here, where she sees us waking up, but she's also somebody that dies, stabbed right in the chest, right? And so that's an allude to who else is going to die. And then we go back to our conversation with Acheron. So I think that that's what happened here. I think that we're going to start with this dream with Acheron. We're going to end with it. And what we just saw were the events that were about to happen. And that's what Acheron was talking about. I think that's what we saw right there, right? So it's a lot. But within this little dream that we have in the beginning, we do see Misha. Now, and Misha, unlike the other people, acknowledged us there, right? Only Acheron and Misha acknowledged us being there, okay? And then we meet this guy right here, Misha. And I got a few things to say about this guy right here. As we see, he seems to have a bit of a keyhole for an eye, right? Now, what does it allude to? Well, who knows? Maybe he's one of the secret Keyblade widows from Daybreak Town. Who knows? But also, the thing with him is that one thing that I find kind of peculiar with him was the first time I saw his kit, right? Now, this could be nothing, but like with his kit, yeah, he's mopping, he's doing this and that. But when you look at his technique, this dude stops time within this bubble. Now that, to me, that was just a huge red flag. That was how it feels like, oh, what the hell did he just do right there, right? That seems crazy, okay? But that does allude to me that something might be special about this guy, okay? And so we meet him here. Clearly, this is within reality where we meet him. We meet him in the dream world, but we also see him in reality. But I notice here too. Now, this is easy to overlook here because it seems pretty normal. But March, she doesn't acknowledge that we're talking to Misha. March might have said, "Who's that?" or anything like that, but she doesn't acknowledge Misha's existence whatsoever. Then we jump over to here, right? Where we meet Misha again in the dreamscape. In this conversation, a lot of people missed it, but this whole time, nobody acknowledges Misha. Nobody acknowledges Misha being there at all except for Clocky, right? And obviously, our main character. When Firefly says, "Do you know?" She doesn't say, "Do we know them?" She says, "Do you know this lady?" Only referring to Acheron. She does not refer to Misha at all. Matter of fact, Misha stays quiet through this whole interaction. Because Misha right here, he thanks us. And then Acheron thanks us, right? They both talk. Firefly does not acknowledge Misha whatsoever. So as we're entering the dreamscape for the first time too, we do see this right here, which also does have certain resemblance to Misha. Misha Mikhail, I don't know if Misha Mikhail is supposed to be the same person or Mikhail somebody that Misha knows. Not sure how that works right there, right? But there's clearly a deeper meaning, what's going on with Misha and what's going on with the story. I think it's made pretty clear, and it has something to do with the fact that Misha is somebody that only we can see. Same as only we can see Clocky. Now, whether that means that Misha is somebody that only dwells within the real dreamscape, and some people, like select people like the MC, can see him, even though they're in this fake dreamscape. And then there's something going on when it comes to Mikhail and so on and so forth, and probably has something to do with what the family is trying to hide, trying to turn PENACONY into this paradise. Nobody in the story has acknowledged Misha's existence. We are the only ones. And Misha seems to have some type of connection to this Mikhail person and the real dreamscape. So who knows? Maybe he's somebody that's already dead and is kind of like a ghost or remnant of him. Or he's somebody that is trapped within the dreamscape. He can't get out. And yeah, that could be it too. Because mind you, we did have a little world crest when it comes to, I don't know if some of you guys done it, but there was a celebrity where his memories and everything about him was put into the dreamscape, where his real self was actually died long ago, and he only existed within the dreamscape, right? Maybe that was a clue to what might be going on with Misha, where something happened to him in real life and he was permanently stuck within the dreamscape and he can't get out, whereas his real self does not exist in the real world anymore. Could be something along those lines. Who knows? Then we have Firefly. Our wondrous Firefly, who a lot of this story revolves around. Fantastic character, by the way. I love her. I love her quite a bit. I strongly believe that we're not done with Firefly yet. Not for a second. I believe that this is the end of her story. When it comes to the idea that she's Sam, I do subscribe to that idea. I do think it's highly likely that her and Sam are very closely related. When it comes to what Welt said about Sam's homeworld and what she said happened to her homeworld is very, very similar. When she's going through the dreamscape, the Rose dreamscape by herself, Black Swan says that she senses her, but she senses one other person, which is Firefly. She doesn't say she senses two people. If she said she sensed two people, then she would have sensed Sam right there too. That, hey, she's with somebody. But Black Swan didn't sense that. And she was confused when somebody was with her, and we couldn't see who she was with. Now, it could be the fact that Black Swan says that she's able to sense people because she took some belonging from them or something like that. But I think it's a little bit more than that. I think it's that Firefly was with the suit, which is autonomous essentially, and she calls it Mecha, right? And she's able to fuse with that suit and fight together, which is what I think that she was trying to do. So here, Firefly is getting ready to do something, right? And I think that she is trying to call the Mecha so she can fight and such, right? But she decides not to do it for whatever reason, right? Which is another reason why I think that we're definitely not done with Firefly, because there's certain mysteries that surround Firefly that have not been addressed, and I do think some of these need to be addressed with Firefly present. Like, what was she doing here, you know? What was her real goal? What was she trying to achieve? Why did she say something like she thought that she hopes we don't have to become enemies because our goals don't necessarily align? Those things being just dropped off doesn't make sense to me. So I do believe that we're going to be revisiting it, and that's going to be one of the reasons why. Plus, she dropped small hints too, like saying things like, "Oh, you know, I had a dream of scorched earth," which is like, I feel like is a reference to Sam. Now, I could be grasping at straws when it comes to that, but I do feel that that is like, I feel like saying she has had a dream of scorched earth, and then we got Sam who just creates scorched earth. You know, I do think that's the thing. I do think that there's some type of separation between Sam and Firefly, but I do think that there's a strong connection where maybe Sam might just be the suit itself that is autonomous, and she's able to, and her and Sam are able to fight together or and such, or the suit has some type of its own way of thinking, or somebody else is within the suit and they're closely related to Firefly, or you know, or maybe they're able to switch places. Because I do, if I remember correctly, when they talked about a stowaway, and Gallagher, who's suspicious within himself, clears Firefly's name. He says that the stowaway was a male instead of female, which leads me to believe that there is another character around too. So maybe it's not just Firefly, it's Sam is Firefly, but somebody that is connected to Firefly is Sam, and they're both able to wear the suit. Could be, which is why she says that, hey, we didn't agree upon this. They maybe have different ideas. That is also another possibility that I want to take down. And in terms of what we saw during her actual death scene, right here, they repeat it, where she says, "In my dream, I saw a scorched earth," right? Like, I don't know. I just feel like that alludes to, since it's her perspective, maybe there would be a reason why scorched earth would be present. So in terms of her death scene, now, to try and explain it, I don't know what to really make of it too much, because now this is a dream. So they have the excuses they can make for her to still be alive is limitless. Could say, hey, it was actually a dream. So we don't fully know how things work in the real dreamscape. So people say, hey, that's just a dream. So she didn't really die, right? Or they could say, no, she did die in a sense, but she's okay now because of, you know, where, I don't know. They could come up with all kinds of excuses of why she can come back. But I do not believe that she is gone. Now, I did see somebody point out that it wasn't, I didn't notice this myself, but somebody pointed out, I wish I could give the person who pointed out credit, but I can't remember who said it. They've noticed that, I think it was somebody named Pancake, I think it was, yeah. And they said that they noticed that Firefly coming out of her when she does die, right? So maybe that could be a way of herself preserving herself. Who knows, right? She could have survived in whatever way. There's a bunch of different ways they can kind of play this and say she survived. Maybe we can do like some kind of rewind thing or some kind of dream-like thing where she comes back, but she's only back temporarily because of the dream-like state. Who knows, right? It could be similar to what happened with that celebrity person that we did do that quest with. Who knows? There could be a bunch of different ways they can bring her back. One thing that I actually just thought of as I'm making this now is that there definitely has to be a difference between Sam and Firefly, mainly because Sam, when Sam sees Black Swan and Acheron, right? Sam scans them and says, okay, this is who they are. And Sam is surprised by seeing them for the first time, but is not surprised whatsoever by seeing Trailblazer, right? But Firefly in this instance sees Acheron and Black Swan already. And she is more relieved to see them because she's there with Trailblazer, whereas Sam feels differently than that, right? So that does lead me to believe that Sam and Firefly might have some type of difference where there's a reason why they're not exactly the same person, but I do feel that they're strongly connected. It could be a situation where brother and sister, it could be a lot of different things. Who knows? But those are a couple of the things that I kind of want to call out when it came to the story and what I think is going to happen in the future, things I think are going to be expanded upon. I do think we're in for a pretty trippy ride here. But at the end of the day, I don't think that Firefly or Robin are gone. Now, as to what reasons why I think it might happen with Robin, I have no idea whatsoever. Don't have enough information on Robin. But I don't think that they're gone. I do think that I do have my ideas with Misha and the clues that they dropped when it comes to what's going on with Misha. I mean, I do think that Acheron knows everything that's about to happen, and she essentially told us that. So, let me know what you guys think, because there's a lot to discuss. There's a lot to talk about. What are your predictions? Leave that down in the comments down below. Yeah, like the video if you like the content that I am giving you. I know it is different than what I usually talk about, and it's a little bit all over the place. It's gonna be a headache trying to edit all this, because I was all over the place when talking about this. This was not scripted out or anything like that. So yeah, and subscribe to the channel so you can get more content like this. And with that under here, pleasure out.
Heart bravely spread the wings, soaring past the night to chase the primal.